Welcome to our Breakfast Books channel. For your morning routine, you can enjoy the best of the most useful and interesting books here for free. Subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to not miss the next videos. Have a good listen. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki. Introduction. Best-selling author and founder of The Rich Dad Company, Robert Kiyosaki is now one of the world's leading experts on financial education. He regularly speaks at conferences, debunking the myths surrounding financial independence and teaching parents how to teach their children to succeed. Robert Kiyosaki throws a spanner in the works in his book, arguing that the educational system designed to not teach young people how to succeed in life, teaches children that they must work hard to earn money every month. Two schools of thought and two approaches to money provided the author with a good financial education that he then wanted to share with as many people as possible. Lesson number 1, The rich don't work for money. Coming from a modest background, the author was always a little jealous of the lifestyle of classmates whose parents were successful. If you think about it, that's exactly what the vast majority of workers find themselves in today, regardless of the industry they work in. Determined to become rich, 9-year-old Robert Kiyosaki teamed up with his best friend Mike to make parts out of used toothpaste tubes. As you can imagine, a totally illegal endeavor, but one that shows the desire of two boys to get rich. He agrees to hire two kids at one of the grocery stores. This is the moment when the rich father gives him an epiphany. As you know, according to the author, the surest way to fail in life is to get a low-paying job. In fact, Mike's father taught that men are often dominated by two emotions, fear and greed. People wake up every morning hoping their paycheck will calm their fears. Robert and Mike also fell into the trap of greed when his best friend's father finally offered him $5 an hour to continue working at the grocery store. However, Robert soon found a way to put the lessons he had learned from his mentor into practice. To do this, Robert and Mike picked up about 100 old comic books from the grocery store and gave them to their classmates for a 10-cent admission fee. This activity earned Robert and Mike $9.50 per week. Both children were only 9 years old and had found a way to stop having to work for money. Lesson number 2, Understand the difference between your assets and liabilities. Most people have financial problems mainly because they don't know the difference between assets and liabilities. The poor and middle class acquire liabilities thinking they are assets, the authors explain. The author explains simple rules that will make you rich if you follow them. In his book, Robert Kiyosaki lists some mistakes to avoid if you want to achieve financial independence and eventually become rich. This is certainly a heavy burden for several reasons. Couples have to pay back large sums of money every month over 20 or 30 years to buy real estate. You also have to pay the property tax. The house must be maintained. So the couple has to spend money regularly to finance their work, hire gardeners and cleaners. This middle-class couple, who thought they were providing the funds to buy a house to fulfill their dreams, ended up taking out loans for their bosses, for their banks, to earn their paychecks. I was forced to work for the government to pay it back. The author argues that the reason so many middle-class people make this mistake is because they emotionally burden their home and see it as an asset, ultimately accumulate expenses, debt, and cannot obtain assets. My only advice is to start by acquiring assets that will allow you to generate enough assets to buy a home without going into debt. Your salary is not an asset. You make money every month, but your salary is never an asset. Your money doesn't work to generate that income simply because that income isn't coming from investments. Lesson number 3, Invest in assets. As a rich man, now that you know what your assets and liabilities are, you need to focus all your efforts on acquiring assets. I remember an anecdote from one of the students present stood up and said, "Ray, who doesn't know you're in the hamburger business?" This response made Ray smile and he replied, "Yes." As the founder of a famous fast food company, his company's main business is actually producing and selling burgers, but the real goose that lays the golden eggs, Trump, is actually under the restaurant on the lot he was standing on. So Ray Kroc began buying up properties in prime locations in the US and around the world before leasing them to franchisees. This made McDonald's the largest property owner in the world, surpassing even the Catholic Church. Using this example, Robert Kiyosaki offers the third secret you need to know to achieve financial independence and ultimately become wealthy. Invest in assets. The author lists several assets in his book that he recommends investing in. You must delegate control to others. Otherwise, you are an employee like everyone else. Robert Kiyosaki recommends staying at work, at least for now, and using your free time to develop strategies that build wealth. As soon as you invest €1 in the system, it becomes your employee. That money works for you 24/7. Lesson number 4, educate yourself financially. The reason the rich are so successful is that, unlike the poor and middle class, they have been financially educated over time. If not, how can you avoid paying if you don't mind studying how it works and the many ways, and legal ways, that exist to get around it? So let's start the financial education by briefly explaining the origins of taxes in the United States and the United Kingdom. Originally, neither country had taxes, although states sometimes levied taxes to fund their wars. Since then, a tax has been imposed on all citizens, from the poorest to the middle class. The latter, who wanted the nation to be divided like Robin Hood, from the richest to the least fortunate, got into trouble. The same cannot be said for the rich and the business leaders. They themselves are always trying to cut costs by spending less and hiring as few people as possible, says Robert Kiyosaki. However, the wealthy quickly learned from their financial education that they could at least partially avoid taxes by starting a business. This knowledge of how business and corporate law worked made the rich exceptionally successful, the authors point out. At the time, it seemed to me that socialists would punish themselves for their lack of financial education. As explained above, the tax avoidance solution found by the wealthy is incorporation. While the rich pay less tax and invest their savings, the poor middle class continues to work and pay more and more tax. Surveys show that the average American works 4 to 5 months a year just to pay taxes. Unlike others, the rich are not suffering. Always looking for ways to cut taxes and increase wealth instead of paying more and more taxes. They do not hesitate to consult auditors, lawyers, or tax specialists when necessary. Robert Kiyosaki explains in his book that this financial literacy has allowed the wealthy to take advantage of Section 1031 of the U.S. Internal Revenue Code. This allows citizens who sell their property to defer paying taxes if it increases in value. This rule, like many others, can only be known and applied by those who seek financial education. With this financial education, Robert Kiyosaki began investing in real estate in 1974 while working for Xerox. In his book, the author points out 4 areas where developing skills is essential if you want to achieve financial independence. This ability to understand the numbers allows you to instantly understand the strengths and weaknesses of a business. Not only do we need to integrate the economic dynamics of the market, but we also need to know that market fluctuations are controlled from time to time. Lesson number 5, take risks. In his book, Robert Kiyosaki reveals some truths to remember. Good grades and a degree are no guarantee of success. In the real world, it's not always the smartest who succeed, but the bravest, he points out. He explains that in his long career as a teacher, he has seen too many people refuse to accept money. I know how to improve my financial situation, even when the opportunities don't seem to be there. I know what to do to seize the right opportunities when they arise. It also means having the boldness, courage and knowledge to turn a complex situation into a multi-million-dollar opportunity, an opportunity to strengthen the pillar of wealth. It's up to you to continue to work hard for others, pay taxes and not realize your plans, learn financially today and become financially independent, or risk becoming rich in a few years. However, the authors emphasize that taking risks does not mean playing Russian roulette. For this reason, Robert Kiyosaki advises investors to take it one step at a time. If you want to invest in real estate, start by renting out a property such as a room, garage for storage, studio, or apartment that you own and see if you can generate cash flow each month. There are two types of entrepreneurs. The first and most common is someone who hires professionals, real estate agents, financial advisors, stockbrokers, to present them with the best opportunities in the market. These ready-made investments are more for beginners. The second is the person who, through financial education, is able to create opportunities for himself. If you want to become an ace investor, you need to master 3 basic skills. Identify missed opportunities for everyone. It is your financial intelligence that allows everyone around you to identify missed opportunities. Robert Kiyosaki gives the example of someone who buys a rundown house that no one would have put a dime on. Unless the buyer is the only one who knows that the house is being sold with 4 other lots. Once the house is purchased, the buyer demolishes it and sells 5 lots to a developer for triple the purchase price. This type of business does not require any special taxes or technical knowledge, but it does require a flair for bargains. On the other hand, professional investors know how to raise funds without going through banks. To do this, we have to learn what many fear, the author emphasizes. He explains that he once bought a $1.2 million house without spending a penny from his pocket or his bank. He explains that he raised money from his friends and family and put down a $100,000 deposit, which gave him 90 days to come up with the rest of the money. Lesson number 6, work to learn, not for money. Yet, according to Robert Kiyosaki, you only need to master one more skill to see a significant increase in your income. Kiyosaki once asked in class which student could make a better and tastier hamburger than the one sold at McDonald's. McDonald's success is not due to the talent of its chefs, but to the various mechanisms it has put in place to increase its income: optimization of the kitchen, sales teams, optimization of taxes, acquisition of real estate. Avoid paying taxes and consolidate its asset column. Unfortunately, both the educational system and the working world still believe that specialization is essential to earn more money or get promoted. For this reason, more and more doctors are moving away from general medicine to specialties such as gynecology, pediatrics, and orthopedics. Also, schools are teaching children that the only way to make money is to study and work for a boss. If you run out of money, the only way to get a raise or a promotion is to go back to college and get another degree, a master's, or a doctorate. Robert Kiyosaki believes in changing your attitude towards work. You shouldn't work to make money, you should work to learn first. Find something you love and get a job with a company in that field. But rather than specializing and working hard for a monthly salary, keep your eyes open and try to learn as much as you can about how the business works to make more money. My mentor, Mike's dad, always encouraged us to learn a little more about a lot of things, but he also tried to hire people who were much smarter and more qualified than we were. Lesson number 7, it's up to you. I wish I could say it was so easy to get rich, but it wasn't, says Robert Kiyosaki. No wonder you think it's easier to work for a paycheck than to build your wealth. So it's up to you to wake up your inner financial genius and do whatever it takes to achieve financial independence. In his book, the author gives some tips on how to bring your project to life. Make the right decisions financially. Every time you make money, you either get richer or poorer. You can choose to become an adult or be middle class. Therefore, it is important to surround yourself with smart, qualified, courageous and generous people who share your desire to be financially independent. Know that there will always be people around you who will prevent you from getting started. Control your spending. There is no point in dreaming of wealth if you cannot control yourself. So there's no point in trying to save money by opting for services provided by people, tax consultants, accountants, or lawyers, whose pseudo-advice could cost you everything. You now have all the tools to start becoming financially independent today. Breakfast Books thanks you for listening. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you don't miss the next videos.